Oh boy, things are really happening. Elon Musk and President Trump have had the biggest falling out in history. Never seen anything like this. I'm going to go through it right now. I had finished the podcast and was just about to upload it, and then the biggest news story in decades just broke. Elon Musk, this is right off of his Twitter. Look at this. This is Elon Musk's official X. Time to drop the really big bomb. Real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. And then he wrote underneath it, mark this post for the future. The truth will come out. What the heck is going on here, people? This is beyond insane. Now, a lot of things have been going on here, all right? They're with Elon and these interviews and posts attacking the big, beautiful bill and the pork inside of it. And, a lot of it was directed to the Republicans in Congress, not President Trump. And then today, President Trump had a meeting with the German chancellor, the guy that has Hitler's old job. And he was asked about Elon Musk because you know how these things happen with President Trump. They turn into press conferences. This one did. And then, boom, Elon started going off on X. And if you look at what let me go through a little bit of Elon on X, and then I'll play President Trump at the press conference today with the German chancellor. Elon put this poll up. Is it time to create a new political party in America that actually represents the 80% in the middle? Yes or no? And as of this moment, there's 938,000 plus votes on it, but that's going to go through the roof. Then the next tweet is about the Epstein files that I read. This is something else. President Trump posted on Truth Social, Elon was wearing thin. I asked him to leave. Oh my goodness. I took away his EV mandate that forced everyone to buy electric cars that nobody else wanted. That he knew for months I was going to do, and he just went crazy. We are in a very dangerous time here. Elon Musk is not stable. He's just not stable. Not only is he not stable, he's not your typical unstable man. And what I mean by that is he's the richest man in the world, okay? And he obviously has lost his mind, Elon Musk. And it pains me to say that because I have been such a strong supporter of his. I know a lot of you guys have as well. He's done so much great work, and then something has happened. And what's happened? We don't know right at this moment. This is a developing story. I mean, look, this in the other segments of the podcast, you're going to notice I'm going to be wearing a different shirt. And the reason that is I finished this podcast. It was done. I was uploading it to YouTube, and I was just about to upload it to all the podcast platforms, and then this dropped, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I got to go back. I got to redo the podcast," which is what I'm doing now. By the way, my name is Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast, and of course, this is where MAGA comes to talk. There's a lot of dangers here with Elon Musk. Not only is he the richest man in the world, the three most famous people in the world are, of course, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Putin. And he's very powerful. He launches rockets into space pretty much every day, Elon Musk. And if he has lost his mind, which it appears that he may have done right now, what does that mean? And where do we go? And what is the president going to do? Let me know in the comments. Do you think he is stable or unstable? So let me go here. This is President Trump today in the Oval Office. He was asked about Elon Musk. and I'll pull this up and play it for you. Here we go.
Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we're well anymore. I was surprised because you were here. Everybody in this room practically was here as we had a wonderful send-off. He said wonderful things about me. You couldn't have nicer. Said the best things. He's worn the hat. Trump was right about everything.
Yeah, and I'm wearing that hat right now, the Trump was right about everything hat. It's one of my favorite hats. I'm wearing it. And Trump is always right about everything. Make no mistake about it.
You were here. Everybody in this room practically was here as we had a wonderful send-off. He said wonderful things about me. You couldn't have nicer. Said the best things. He's worn the hat. Trump was right about everything. And I am right about the great, big, beautiful bill. We call it a great, big, beautiful bill because that's what it is. And again, biggest tax cuts in history, biggest economic development moves anywhere. We've never done anything like it. Business is spurred. And I don't know if you've seen the numbers, but the numbers came out. Even the CBO, which is run by Democrats, said that we're going to be doing, I'd like you to discuss it, the 2.8 trillion that CBO, this is a group of people that are Democrats.
I skipped through all the parts where President Trump was talking about the big, beautiful bill. Not that they're unimportant, but right now we are a country in crisis, and I want to go right to the president talking about Elon Musk at the end, okay? And this is what President Trump said here, and then that True Social post. But what President Trump said here obviously triggered Elon Musk.
They made a bad choice with him. But if you pick Shapiro or anybody else, I spoke to him recently about his house being set on fire, which was terrible.
Here he's talking about the governor of Pennsylvania. He's going to get to Elon in just a moment.
But if they picked him, I would have won Pennsylvania. I won it by a lot.
Okay, now what President Trump's talking here, Elon is saying that Trump wouldn't have won if it wasn't for him. And let's make no mistake, Trump would have won. Elon helped a lot, right? Buying Twitter, turning it into X, stopping the cancel culture in its tracks, doing that. Okay, so he did play an important role. Trump still would have won, but he made it a lot easier. And in Pennsylvania, the reason he's talking about Pennsylvania is because, remember, Elon was campaigning in Pennsylvania pretty much every day for the president.
But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem. And he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate because that's billions and billions of dollars. And it really is unfair. We want to have cars of all types. Electric, we want to have electric, but we want to have a gasoline, combustion. We want to have different. We want to have hybrids. We want to have we want to be able to sell everything. And when that was cut, and Congress wanted to cut it, he became a little bit different. And I can understand that. But he knew every aspect of this bill. He knew it better than almost anybody. And he never had a problem until right after he left. And if you saw the statements he made about me, which I'm sure you can get very easily, it's very fresh on tape, he said the most beautiful things about me. And he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next. But I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
Mr. President, I just want to clarify, did he raise any of these concerns with you privately before he raised them publicly? And this is the guy you put in charge of cutting spending. Should people not take him seriously about spending now? Are you saying this is all sour grapes?
No, he worked hard, and he did a good job. And I'll be honest, I think he misses the place. I think he got out there, and all of a sudden he wasn't in this beautiful Oval Office, and he's got nice offices too. But there's something about this one. I was telling the Chancellor, this is where it is. People come in here, even from Germany. They come in and they walk into the Oval Office, and it's just a special place. It's World War I, it started and it ended here, and World War II, and so many other things. Everything big comes right from this beautiful space. It's now much more beautiful than it was 6 months ago. A lot of good things are happening in this room, and I'll tell you, he's not the first. People leave my administration and they love us. And then at some point they miss it so badly. And some of them embrace it and some of them actually become hostile. I don't know what it is. It's sort of Trump derangement syndrome, I guess they call it. But we have it with others too. They leave and they wake up in the morning and the glamour's gone. The whole world is different, and they become hostile. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, now we saw this in the first term, right? We saw some high-profile people, Scaramucci, Omarosa, Bannon, right? There were people that left, and things happened, especially with Omarosa, right? Scaramucci. There's been a few others. But none of them have what Elon has. Elon not only launches rockets into space from California, Texas, and California pretty much every day of the week. He's got the largest media platform ever created with X. So what is the next step here? What level is this going to go to? Is he sane? Is he rational? Has he lost his mind, Elon Musk? Now look at this. Elon Musk taunts Trump to end his contracts with the federal government, suggesting it would end the International Space Station. Trump said, the easiest way to save money in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts. I mean, I'm not happy with this. We have been standing by Elon Musk. He's done so much good. This falling out, look at this, over 1 million votes in this poll about creating a new political party now. It's already happening. Now here, this, if you're just joining us, just a little while ago, this feud has gotten to a whole new level. Elon Musk posted to X, time to drop the really big bombs. Real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. And then Elon posted a few minutes later, mark this post for the future. The truth will come out. Is it possible that there's some kind of intervention done here? I mean, if you've got a guy that's this unglued and on this much of a vendetta with that has the entire, think about it, with SpaceX, he is NASA. Is it safe for him to have control over these rockets that launch into space? Is it safe for him to have the number, if he's unglued, is it safe for Elon Musk to have the X platform? Could we see the government come in and take control of this? I'm just going to go through some of these comments that are responding. David J. Harris, you just lost all credibility, Elon. You blithering idiot. We reported that months ago. People have been saying, that's what liberals have been saying. Democrats would have already released it and burned their party to the ground if he was on it. Yeah, that would. I agree with that. If he were in the Epstein files, I mean, after all, these Never Trumper forces shot him in Butler, tried to do it again at the golf course. They would have released that Epstein information. I think that's very true, and I think you all would agree with that. Here's another question, and these are very serious questions. Is Elon Musk, was he always there to sabotage Trump? Did he trick Trump to get into the inner circle with plans on burning the house down when he left at some point? Is what Donald Trump just said, the president said in the Oval Office with the German chancellor today, people leave this room, this office, and then they have these meltdowns. This Dom here, he wrote, this will be known as the most expensive tweet of all time. Mark this. Yeah. Oh, boy. Yesterday, and I was not alone in this, they were also talking about this on Newsmax and others, that Trump and Elon were working together to try to get the big, beautiful bill turned into something that was more appropriate without all of this pork and earmarks and all these things. Well, obviously, that's all incorrect. There is, I hate to say a war, because President Trump doesn't seem as bothered as Elon. Elon seems like he's really lost his mind. And I do believe, because he has the rockets and X, which is the largest media outlet in history, this could escalate into terrible things. I'm not going to start predicting terrible things that could happen, but I think you guys know This is not Scaramucci leaving, being pissed off, and going over to CNN or MSNBC trashing Trump. This isn't Omarosa going on Rachel Maddow or Joy Reid trashing Trump. This is a man who sends rockets into space and controls the largest media outlet that's ever been conceived with X. This is I don't know. Does he have anyone in his circle that could do an intervention? If this were someone in your family or in your circle of friends, you would do an intervention. But when you're the richest man in the world, can anyone do an intervention? We'll be right back. Now, if you'd like to support the program, become a Patreon supporter. If you're a Patreon supporter, you have access to commercial-free editions of each and every podcast episode. And since I have upgraded the podcast to have a video version of the Brian Craig Show podcast, the audio version is still on all the podcast platforms, guys. But on YouTube and YouTube Music, I upload the video version. And Patreon supporters, not only do you have access exclusively as a Patreon supporter to commercial-free editions of the Brian Craig Show podcast, you get a commercial-free video version of it, completely commercial-free if you're a Patreon supporter. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode on whatever platform you're listening to us on. And if you're one of our top Patreon supporters, you get a live on-air shout-out on each episode. Your name is in the description of the podcast episodes, and on YouTube and YouTube Music, your name as a top Patreon supporter appears on the screen while I go through the names like I'm about to do. So the following names are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, LeeZep, Shawna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, David, Laura, Rob, and SFjr. These are our top Patreon supporters. If you want your name on the screen and in the description, or you want to get those commercial-free editions of the podcast, go into the description of this episode. On whatever platform you're on, go to my Patreon page and become a Patreon supporter. Are you over 50 and want to feel stronger, look better, and live an active life like you did when you were younger? Then add Fit After 50 on Highway to Your Health to your podcast playlist. Fit After 50 gives you real-world advice from experts and everyday people just like you. Whether it's fitness, nutrition, or disease prevention, Fit After 50 host Keith and Rob bring you tips, strategies, and the motivation you need to take charge of your health. On Fit After 50, there's no gimmicks, no shortcuts, just science-backed actionable strategies and real talk to help you stay fit, feel good, and thrive at any age. Listen to Fit After 50 on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and iHeartRadio. Subscribe today and take your first step towards a healthier, stronger, and more energized life. True warriors don't follow trends. They forge legacies. At TacticalVikingBrand.com, they believe warriors are built, not born. Tactical Viking was inspired by the ferocity of Norse legends and the precision of modern fighters. Tactical fighting is more than just a brand. It's a way of life. They create apparel for those just like you who live by strength, resilience, and honor. Every battle-worn design tells a story of warriors who refuse to surrender. When you wear Tactical Viking, you're not just wearing clothing, you're wearing a legacy. Everything is a tribute to the warriors who gave everything so we could carry the shield forward. The burial flag on our sleeve isn't just a symbol, it's a promise that we will never forget the sacrifices made before us. Join the Brotherhood, forge your legacy, stand strong, stay ready, no surrender. Visit TacticalVikingBrand.com right now and view the inventory. You will be impressed, and use the code TACTICAL10 to save 10% off your purchase. TacticalVikingBrand.com. Forge your legacy. Wear the warrior spirit. If you're in business, you know that first impressions are crucial. Your business deserves a website that stands out. With nearly 20 years of experience, ProWeaver is your trusted partner for professional custom design websites that are built to elevate your brand. ProWeaver doesn't use generic templates, just fully responsive, user-friendly custom websites that are tailored to you and the needs of your business. And the best part, ProWeaver delivers in just 3 to 5 days. That's lightning speed compared to competitors who take weeks. ProWeaver
ProWeaver handles everything for you. Logo design to e-commerce solutions, SEO, and social media setup. They'll help you launch, grow, and dominate online, all at an affordable price. Don't wait. Get your custom website right now. Visit ProWeaver.com or call them directly toll-free 877-216-0852. 877-216-0852. ProWeaver.com. Affordable, dependable, fast.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. Make sure you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us on. Now, we got a massive victory in the Supreme Court today over reverse discrimination, and this was a unanimous decision. Look at this. Supreme Court rules unanimously in favor of straight Ohio woman who claimed discrimination. Let me go through this story. Let's talk about it. The Supreme Court ruled unanimously in favor of an Ohio woman who claimed, who claimed she was discriminated against for job promotions in favor of gay candidates on Thursday. The ruling, Ames versus Ohio Department of Youth Services, finds that members of majority groups in protected classes do not need to meet a higher standard of evidence in order to establish discrimination. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson wrote the opinion of the court in a 9-0 decision. The Sixth Circuit had implemented a rule that requires certain Title VII plaintiffs, those who are members of majority groups, to satisfy a heightened evidentiary standard, Jackson wrote. Boy, a lot of legalese there. We conclude that Title VII does not impose such a heightened standard on majority group plaintiffs. Therefore, the judgment below is vacated. The woman in the case is a heterosexual woman who had worked for the Ohio Department of Youth Services since 2004. She argued she was discriminated against on the basis of her sexual orientation after she was passed over for a promotion in 2019 in favor of a lesbian woman who was then later replaced in her own role by a gay man. Ames was qualified, had been denied a promotion in favor of a gay candidate, and was later demoted in favor of another gay candidate. Evidence that would ordinarily satisfy her burden before it specifically faulted Ames for failing to make the requisite showing of background circumstances. A lot of legalese going on there. But this is a pretty amazing ruling, and I'll tell you why. In my view, this is something we would not have seen if Trump had not won this election, right? You know, if Kamala Harris would have won, if Joe Biden would have won, and for that matter, even if it was like Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley in the Oval Office in the White House, this decision wouldn't have come down this way. Certainly not 9-0. And there's been such a big cultural shift, and this is Pride Month, right? Look at what's happened in Pride Month. We've got this decision telling gays that they can't discriminate against heterosexuals. That never would have been, certainly not unanimous if Trump didn't win this election. We have Target during Gay Pride Month not doing what they've done for the last several years, and that's have gay pride merchandise on display in their stores. They have the 4th of July merchandise with the American flag merchandise in right at the beginning of June, weeks early. And also this week, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth is renaming one of the U.S. naval vessels. There's a Navy ship, the USS Harvey Milk. Harvey Milk was a gay activist out of San Francisco who was murdered. And they made a movie about him with Sean Penn. And he said, we're not going to have ships named after gay activists. And they've stripped the ship of the name Harvey Milk. They have not yet, as I'm talking to you right now, announced what the new name will be. But these are all things, including this decision today in Gay Pride Month. That's amazing. You know, what's happened in this country with groups of people that formerly were, I'll say, disenfranchised, right? Because the different groups, women, African Americans, who else? Gays. These are groups that in the past have been discriminated against. No doubt about it, right? And now we have equality in the country. Now, having equal rights, having equality doesn't mean that everybody likes everybody and that everybody approves of everything. That's an impossible standard. I mean, you're never going to have a situation where everybody in the country approves of everybody and is accepting of everybody. But so far as our society goes, the disenfranchisement of these different groups is over. And what's happened, which is completely the opposite of what Martin Luther King was fighting for, these formerly disenfranchised groups, once they became empowered, began reverse discrimination, right? Discriminating against whites. This ruling is going to have a very interesting effect on hiring practices throughout the country, not just in this Ohio case, but everywhere in this country, right? Do you have to have a certain percentage of people that are women, that are black, that are this, that are that? It's reverse discrimination. And reverse discrimination has become, sadly, acceptable in our country. This is CNN when the story broke today.
Breaking news, the Supreme Court is releasing opinions. I want to go straight to CNN Chief Legal Affairs Correspondent Paula Reed. What are you learning, Paula?
All right, Pam, we've already gotten 4 decisions from the court, and among them is one of the big ones we have been watching. This is a unanimous opinion that will make it easier to file so-called reverse discrimination claims here in the U.S. Now here, the Supreme Court sided with a straight woman in Ohio. She filed a reverse discrimination lawsuit against her employer when her gay boss declined to promote her and instead promoted another gay individual. Now, this is mostly about the bar that members of majority groups, so in this case a straight white woman, need to meet in order to file these kinds of claims. And here in a unanimous opinion, they have sided with this woman. So she will, it appears, be allowed to continue to proceed with this. And as you know, diversity, equity, and inclusion, this is something that has been really politicized during the Trump administration, which is one of the many reasons that we have been watching this particular case so closely.
Okay. Yeah, and this reverse discrimination that we've been seeing has been really completely accepted by people, right? I mean, you look at the entertainment industry. They don't hire white actors and actresses anymore. They just don't. And they make a big deal that this is the right thing to do to make up for past injustices that none of us have experienced. So this ruling by the Supreme Court is going to have an impact on this country in so many different ways that I hope that other people get involved and say, hey, you can't discriminate against me. I was watching an actor yesterday. Who was the actor? I was watching him interview. Brent Spiner, who played Data on Star Trek. And he was talking about how he can't get work. And he was being interviewed by another actress who was on Battlestar Galactica. Her name's Katie Sackhoff. And she can't get work either. And they were going through all these reasons why they can't get work. And they didn't want to say it. They were dancing all around it. The reason they can't get work is because they're white. And in Hollywood, they won't hire whites any longer. Not for any major roles. So this reverse discrimination has been hitting every sector of American life. And for this to be a 9-0 decision, you've got there are radical Democrats on that court, very radical. And many of them are DEI woke lovers like Ketanji. So to get these wokesters appointed by Biden and Obama to rule in favor of the conservatives in a Supreme Court case like this shows you that the reverse discrimination in this country was hardcore and was getting out of control. It's an amazing decision, and it's part of the major cultural shift that's been going on in our country, a shift that involving these things during Gay Pride Month of all months. I meant to play this in the first segment. This is Steve Bannon on the War Room talking about the big, beautiful bill.
Okay, so we've never been enthusiastic about the big, beautiful bill. Number one, a big, beautiful bill is going to get done. It has to get done because you must extend the tax cuts for the working class and the middle class. all engines stop. There are also certain things on R&D, as you sent me these things that weren't covered in 17 we got to take care of. There's a number of things of depreciation, things that have to be done for business, a bunch of things for small business, etc. That has to be done as a supply side tax cut, and we do believe in the supply side tax cuts. However, as we've said from the beginning, the bill would be made better in the no need to kill it in the House, and the president didn't want to kill it in the House, is going to be made better in the Senate.
Okay. Now, I wanted to talk about this bill a little bit. Now, by the way, I made a big change a couple weeks back. I think this might be the third week, and the change and upgrades are still in progress as I'm adding and getting things together every day. The Brian Craig Show podcast, which is on all podcast platforms. If there's a podcast platform, this podcast is on it, and including YouTube, okay, and YouTube Music. But we're on all podcast platforms. But on my YouTube channel itself, Brian Craig Show on YouTube, I've turned the podcast into a video podcast. So it's the same podcast you're getting in audio format, but on my YouTube channel, Brian Craig Show, you get the video format. And I've slowly, over the last couple of weeks, been transforming the studio where I broadcast on the radio in the mornings into setting up a second studio inside that studio just for the podcast. So if you're watching the video version of the podcast on YouTube, you're noticing the changes. And my wife Kathy's been helping me, and she's got a whole bunch of new lighting. A big chunk of it she put in today, and it looks incredibly beautiful and cool. And we have some more pieces of the studio. Yesterday I had I had a mic issue with the new studio. I got that worked out, and now Kathy's handling the lighting. So if you listen to the Brian Craig Show podcast on podcast platforms, it's still there just like it always was in audio form. But if you want to catch the video version where you get to see me as well as the video of the articles and the videos that you hear the audio from on the program, you can see all of that as well, including me with your eyes on my YouTube channel, Brian Craig Show. So go check it out. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's Frank from West Palm. How you doing there?
All right,
Brian,
Frank.
you were absolutely correct. LaPorta Roofing was amazingly phenomenal. They just completed my roof last week, and LaPorta Roofing was superb in all ways imaginable when installing the new roof on my residence. Tom LaPorta meticulously spearheaded the entire project from inception through to the finalization of the assignment. Tom handled all the paperwork involving city permits, inspectors, and my community HOA. He was always available, ensuring me that he had my back in all phases of the project. Additionally, Tom, Scott, and Dan, and the entire crew were very well organized with the plan, consistent with all policies and procedures, and craftsmanship was exemplary in all stages of the design execution. Tom, Scott, and Dan maintained continual contact with me, the homeowner, asking if there were any questions I had or anything further I needed. LaPorta Roofing is, in every respect, a stellar, 5-star, AAA, family-owned company that is a reliable, peace-of-mind roofing organization. These guys are spot on with regards to perfection, and they demand it. I remain mesmerized upon the completion of the job. My roof is a masterpiece. And one last thing before I forget, they were the least expensive quote that I received out of 4 quotes for roofing. I thank Tom LaPorta Roofing for all that they do.
Wow, Frank. Well, thanks so much. Tom LaPorta at LaPorta Roofing. He covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. He works with every type of structure, residential, commercial, municipal, and he works with every type of roofing material. Also, don't forget, Tom LaPorta will never sell you a roof you do not need. If you need just a simple repair, he'll do it. He can also handle the job of any size, whether it's a single-family home or an HOA with over 200 units. Give him a call. This number rings directly to Tom LaPorta's cell phone, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaRoofing.com. Frank, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Brian. You have a wonderful day.
The big, beautiful bill. This is something about the big, beautiful bill that I want to talk about with Bannon there. And I wouldn't be surprised, now that Elon's out, it sounds like we might start to see Bannon maybe back at the White House, huh? Would you be surprised? I love Steve Bannon. I'd love to see him back at the White House. President Trump, with the big, beautiful bill, has done something very unique that other presidents have not done. Most presidents, when they come into a new term, because this is a new term, it's a second non-consecutive term, and it's very unique and everything because of that, but they usually have a bunch of legislation that they're pushing through. And President Trump says, no, we don't want to do that. We want to have one big bill, the big, beautiful bill, and it has everything in it. And that's why you're seeing all this pork, not just because a lot of these Republicans are sellouts and earmarks and all that stuff, but it wouldn't look as bad with the pork if there were, I don't know, 5 or 10 smaller bills. And President Trump putting together one huge bill, I suspect, this would not surprise me at all, that when the bill is done and it's passed and President Trump signs it into law, it would not surprise me at all if there's a whole bunch of things in there that are going to shock and surprise us, and we're going to be very happy about it. If you remember, there was one bill, I can't remember which bill this was in the first term, but there was a bill that President Trump passed in his first term, and nobody noticed this was in it till after he signed it into law. Drilling in Anwar in Alaska was in there, which the Democrats have been fighting against for like 20 years, 30 years. And he snuck it in there, and he said, I told everybody, keep it secret. And we got Anwar through. Remember that in the first term? So there might be when I was talking about Elon still working, playing a 4D chess game with the president on this, we're hearing about all these bad things that are in there, and certainly there are, on top of the promises that President Trump made are in there, like, with the taxes. But I'm guessing that there's a lot of things in there that we don't know are in there that we're going to be very happy when we find out, right? You guys agree with that? And I'm excited for this. I mean, and you guys know, I say all the time that, I believe because of the sacrifices he has made that President Trump deserves a lot of leeway from MAGA people in this country in this second term. Because President Trump, he's got a limited time back in the White House where he's guaranteed the majority, the first 2 years. And, that midterm election is an unknown. I mean, we could lose control of both houses, and then who knows what will get done, right? He's got the first 2 years to get as much done as he possibly can. And if he gets involved with this my way or the highway on a lot of these things like the pork that's being talked about, he's going to end up getting nothing done. So that's part of the compromise. He's got to, he can't be 100% committed that it's going to be everything I want or nothing, or we're going to get nothing. And I think a lot of that factors into how he's doing things. Now, also today, let me play this is from Fox News Channel today.
So we got some breaking news from the White House. There has been a phone call between President Trump and President Xi of China. It lasted about an hour and a half, and apparently it was about trade and only trade. There was a post coming on Truth Social here, and I'll try and hit the highlights for you. Just concluded a very good phone call with Xi of China, discussing some of the intricacies of our recently made and agreed to trade deal. The call lasted approximately 1.5 hours, resulted in a very positive conclusion for both countries. There should no longer be any questions respecting the complexity of rare earth products. Our respective teams meeting shortly at a location to be determined. We will be represented by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Howard Lutnick, and Ambassador Jameson Greer. During the conversation, Xi graciously invited the First Lady and me to visit China, and I reciprocated. As presidents of two great nations, it's something that we both look forward to. The conversation was focused almost entirely on trade. Nothing discussed concerning Russia, Ukraine, or Iran. We'll inform the media as the scheduling, the location, and soon-to-be meeting. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Okay, and also no talk of the CCP Chinese agri-terrorists that were arrested, that were in the news this week, that were trying to do some type of hardcore attack on our food supply in this country. The liberals still want to stick with that tariffs don't work. Here he's got China on the phone. They talk nothing other than trade. You know, being the number one consumer nation in the world, China needs us. And they're in a panic right now because it's not just that they need us, okay? They're in trouble without us. And he may be a dictator, but he's under tremendous amounts of pressure from these millionaires and billionaires in China who are concerned about the future of their company and their wealth. And being the number one consumer nation, China could not function in its current form without the United States. And making these moves with the tariffs of bringing business and companies back here, it obviously raising the tariffs worked. You know, this is why, you know, Trump, I'm wearing right now the hat that says Trump was right about everything. And you look at Trump in his history, he is always right. You know, even when he's doing something that you think is wrong, in the end, you find out he was right. Look at this. Those of you who said, oh, the tariffs, they know what, look at what's happened, right? Like dominoes, countries around the world are caving and making deals. Now it's China. So Trump was right again.
This Father's Day, give a gift that speaks from the heart. The Flower Story from author Shawna Feeney is a tribute to the unconditional love between a father and his daughter. Inspired by a 2-year-old's bedtime request, The Flower Story follows the journey of a flower given by a father to his little girl, growing with her through the years. It's a story that blossoms with meaning, capturing those quiet, powerful moments only a dad and daughter truly understand. The Flower Story is perfect for bedtime, story time, or any time. It also includes a special section where dads can add their own personal message, making each book a one-of-a-kind keepsake. Whether she's 2 or 22, let her know your love grows forever. Celebrate Father's Day with The Flower Story from author Shawna Feeney. It's a gift she'll never forget. Order your copy right now on the author's website, SeanFeeneyBooks.square.site. That's SeanFeeny, SeanFeeneyBooks.square.site. Did you know that every year, 95% of criminal cases never see a jury? They're decided behind closed doors through plea bargains. But what happens when those negotiations go wrong? Author Philip Mosier takes you inside the seismic 2012 Supreme Court rulings, Missouri versus Fry and Lafler versus Cooper, that changed everything in the book Plea Bargains on Trial, available on Amazon. For the first time, the court recognized the right to effective counsel during plea bargaining, exposing the hidden pressure points that shape justice in America today. Filled with sharp legal insight, real-world examples, as well as powerful historical context, Plea Bargains on Trial pulls back the curtain on a system built on speed, but often short on fairness. If you're drawn to the complexities of law, justice, and the fight for true representation, Plea Bargains on Trial is a book you can't afford to miss. Order your copy right now on Amazon and see the system in a whole new light. Plea Bargains on Trial from author Philip Mosier on Amazon. Looking for timeless furniture that blends beauty with function? Discover TKC Woodworking on Etsy, where craftsmanship meets quality, and every piece honors the natural elegance of hardwood. From stunning bookshelves to studio cabinets, floating shelves, and handcrafted coffee tables, everything is expertly crafted and designed to elevate your space. Whether you need practical storage or a statement piece, you'll find the perfect fit at TKC Woodworking on Etsy. You'll also discover incredible gifts that will be appreciated and passed down for generations. Exceptional materials, masterful craftsmanship built to last. Visit TKC Woodworking right now, online at tkcwoodworking.etsy.com. That's tkcwoodworking.etsy.com. Explore the collection. You will be impressed. tkcwoodworking.etsy.com. Handmade hardwood furniture and home decor. When the sun sets and the world grows quiet, Whispers in the Dark begins. Whispers in the Dark is a horror anthology podcast that crawls beneath your skin and lingers in the shadows. Narrated by the whisperess Crapella, each episode of Whispers in the Dark unveils a new nightmare. Stories of cursed objects, supernatural revenge, toxic family secrets, and chilling urban legends. These aren't just horror stories, they're echoes of something deeper, something waiting. Dare to listen? New episodes drop every week on Spotify, but be warned, some whispers never fade. Whispers in the Dark on Spotify.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Brian Craig Show podcast. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. The liberals are really losing it, and this is insane. This is a Democrat congresswoman, and she's talking about her concerns that the illegals are being rounded up and deported. Listen to what she says.
If we don't have avenues for people to come here legally to work or to build a home here, I'm going to be really crude right now. We're not going to have anybody around to wipe our ass because we don't have enough people in our country now to fill the jobs that we have right now.
Wow. So, yeah, this is nuts, okay? And these Democrats, what they're talking about, and this is how Democrats talked in 1858, 1859, when the rise of Lincoln happened before the Civil War. They were making arguments against ending slavery because of the slave labor and what impact that would have on the economy. And here we are in 2025, and we have Democrats complaining about the same thing, that they're losing their slave labor of illegals that are doing these menial jobs for low pay. It's slavery. Now, it's not the same kind of slavery we had in the antebellum South. They're paid slave wages, right? They're living in houses with who knows how many people, and they're working long hours, and all kinds of problems are going on with that. And what she, like many Democrats, are complaining about is they're losing their slave workforce. And, these people don't, yeah, we should try that. These people don't even hear themselves. They don't even hear what it is that they're saying. And, of course, you hear it, and I hear it. But the Democrats have never changed, okay? They have always liked their slaves. And the thing with slavery in this country, when slavery was ended by the Republicans when we won the Civil War, the Democrats found another way to bring back slavery with blacks, and that was through sharecropping. There were other things too. But sharecropping was slavery by another name. And it was pretty bad if you've ever read up on it. And there's a book that, when this comes up, I often recommend. It's one of the most important books ever written about the 20th century of the United States that no one talks about but me. It got a little publicity when it first came out many years ago. It's called Slavery by Another Name. The author is a white author, and his last name is Blackman. Slavery by Another Name. The author's name is Blackman. And so we've had 4 periods of American slavery, right? The 4th one is the illegal immigrants from south of the border that this lady's worried about, who's going to wipe her rear end she's talking about, right? We had the antebellum slavery, which was, the Gone with the Wind before the Civil War era, okay? The sharecropping slavery, which was an indentured servitude that blacks were in after the Civil War was over on the same plantations oftentimes. And the 3rd one, now we're in the 4th, we've just had the 4th one that President Trump has gotten us out of, like Lincoln, all right, with the Civil War. And the one that no one talks about, Jim Crow, and this book, Slavery by Another Name, talks about the Democrats and their Jim Crow laws served a lot of their evil, devious purposes. And you've heard these stories about how a lot of blacks were arrested for loitering and everything else. What they would do is they would arrest, this is in the Jim Crow era in the 20th century in the Democrat-controlled South. This is what the Democrats did. Their local police, a sheriff, police chiefs, they would arrest blacks. They'd put them in the county jail where they could hold them for up to a year, and then they would be working in whatever they wanted to work in. It might be a factory in town. It might be on a farm in town. They're out picking crops, literally. It might be at a local small business somewhere, and they were using the Jim Crow laws to keep blacks in bondage yet again. And that's what that book is about that I recommended, Slavery by Another Name. The author's name, again, is Blackman. Check it out. And the Democrats are terrible people. They always have been. They always will. They are evil, okay? And they always find a way to bring slavery back. And they're upset that they lost their slaves again. And they're working hard to bring back that slavery, to work in their businesses and their hotels and their restaurants, take care of their children. And they talk about it all the time, mow their lawns. And this Democrat's example, wipe their rear ends. She literally said that. I mean, these are some terrible people. I was telling Steve Kane this morning that come August, it'll be 3 years since Dr. Philip Appleton rid me of pain for the first time. It was in my knee. And my knee had been hurting me since I was 20, 21 years old. So it had been 30 years of suffering. And sometimes my knee would act up. It was my right knee. It would act up so much, I just wanted to sit down and go to sleep, because the pain was so bad. And Dr. Appleton treated me. And I know it was 3 years ago because I remember a salesman from the radio station took me to meet Dr. Appleton. And I told Dr. Appleton about my knee. I got that free consultation that you can take advantage of too, the free consultation with Dr. Appleton. And he treated me with a laser treatment on my knee, which is 100% painless. There's no shots, no injections, no downtime. In fact, not only is it completely painless, you don't even feel it when it's happening. So that was on Thursday. The next day I woke up on Friday and my knee was already improving. I went for a second treatment on Saturday. First treatment Thursday, second treatment on Saturday, and then Monday, the pain was gone. And 3 years coming in August, the pain has not returned because the laser treatment doesn't just rid you of pain, it repairs the damage that's causing the pain. It's amazing. It works. And he's rid me of pain 6 times after that for a total of 7, Dr. Appleton. We have listeners that travel literally from all over the United States to see Dr. Appleton. He is incredible. The laser treatment works on every type of pain I've ever heard of. Arthritis, which, by the way, he rid me of arthritis in my hand, bursitis, work and sports injuries, strains and sprains, repetitive motion injuries, post-surgical swelling, neck and back injuries, knee conditions, tinnitus, sciatica, spinal stenosis, fibromyalgia, plantar fasciitis, which I understand is incredibly painful, rotary tears, herniated disc, acute pain, chronic pain, and any type of pain you've ever heard of. Because I keep meeting listeners all the time with new pains I never heard of, and they're now living pain-free thanks to Dr. Appleton. Give him a call. Now, remember, appointments are not necessary. Walk-ins are welcome, even on Saturdays. Give him a call and say bye-bye to your pain. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. Now, speaking of terrible people, Christine Amanpour, been on CNN for a long time with her fancy accent. She gave an interview. Listen to this. She said, traveling to the United States feels like visiting North Korea. She did a podcast interview on her X-Files podcast this is her podcast, my bad there. On her X-Files podcast, Christine Amanpour, British-born journalist, revealed in a discussion with her ex-husband that she spoke to CNN and carried a burner phone when traveling to the United States last month to speak at Harvard. Well, she's got a good relationship with her ex-husband. That's a little unusual. This is the clip. This is Christine Amanpour. I didn't realize this was her ex-husband she was talking to.
When I went to Harvard to give this speech, and it was just a few days ago, last week, I must say I was afraid. I'm a foreigner. I don't have a green card. I'm not an American citizen. I'm fairly prominent. And I literally prepared to go to America as if I was going to North Korea. I took a burner phone, Jamie. Imagine that. I didn't take a single, not my mobile phone, not my iPad, nothing. And I had nothing on the burner phone except a few numbers and I could text with my assistant. I had your number, I had our son's number, I had our lawyer's number, you know, the CNN lawyer, and I was really afraid. I'd even talked to the CNN security person because of this. I've heard that many, including British citizens, have been stopped at the border and questioned for hours and hours and hours. And I know that a lot of them, from anecdotal discussions with my friends, have been turned around, even parents who were coming to various universities for their kids' graduations, whether they're from any part of the world. So it was scary. Luckily, Jamie, I was welcomed. I mean, the immigration officer at Boston, where I came in, could not have been nicer. Obviously, none of this was discussed. Thanked me for what I do, bringing the stories of the world to...
Oh, my goodness. The Border Patrol guy thanked her for what she did, bringing the stories of the world to the public. What a self-important woman she is, Christine Amanpour. You know, she's a real sicko. When she was pregnant, she was reporting from a war zone wearing a flak vest while she was pregnant. She thought that made her look like some kind of strong woman. I think it made her look like a sick, twisted idiot.
Came in, could not have been nicer. Obviously, none of this was discussed. Thanked me for what I do, bringing the stories of the world to,
bringing the stories of the world. Okay. These liberals, man, they really love themselves.
And where I came in, could not have been nicer. Obviously, none of this was discussed. Thanked me for what I do, bringing the stories of the world to, you know, to America and to viewers and listeners, etc. So, huge sigh of relief I breathed. But wow, I mean, can you imagine if I'm afraid? What do others think?
Well, first off, I would like to know what her ex-husband really thinks. If she's such a great person, bringing the stories to the world, why are they not married any longer? So she had this hardcore negative stereotype about all these things that were going to happen to her in the United States. And guess what? None of them happened. So, you know, and notice she doesn't say, you know, I thought all these terrible things. I prepared like I'm going to North Korea, going to the United States because of everything. And none of it was true. It was no. She fell victim to her own fake news about the United States. And does she apologize for this? By the way, I don't need any more redcoats telling us how to run our country. And why doesn't she have a green card? She's been working here for CNN like my whole adult life. Is she legal working that like she does? I don't know. But anyway, does she apologize? You know, does she say, you know, the media have hyped this up that I was scared and I found out nothing could be further from the truth. It's all fine for foreigners to come to the United States like me. She didn't do that. She still has this attitude, well, you know, I thought it was going to be like North Korea. I was scared. I had the burner phone and all, but they treated me with respect and everything else. And the reason she was treated with such respect is not just because she's some self-important journalist who brings the news of the world to America. We have plenty of news without you, Christine Amanpour. We don't need you to bring America stories. Go back to England. She has documents. She's not an undocumented person who's sneaking across the border. She has documents and she's coming through the proper ways. What a jerk. This war in Ukraine it's getting scary, isn't it? It really is. It has been elevated to a whole new, very frightening level. And I saw this story today in Breitbart. Look at this. 1.4 million casualties in the Ukraine war. An analysis of battlefield conditions in the Ukraine war says Russia will hit 1 million casualties this summer, and there have been approximately 1.4 million casualties between both sides so far. That's insane. And you know, this war, what's the purpose of it? It's obviously we know Putin wants Ukraine. This is a civil war in his mind, and he wants Ukraine. He's got Crimea. He wants Ukraine. Crimea and Ukraine were part of the Soviet Union, and okay, I understand that. But when I say, what's the point of this war? Is it a war that can be won? I would say no. It's not a war that can be won. Even if Putin moved in and took Ukraine, what is that going to do to him internationally? Right? He's not going to be welcomed by the communities of the world. He is going to be shut off, and I'll tell you, if the war continues to heat up, it could get beyond just a little frightening, and I'll tell you why. That's simply because if one attack goes off and hits Poland, and civilians are killed, or there's a major hit in Poland or another NATO nation, that could cause World War III on a dime, because the NATO alliance, the treaty says an attack on one is an attack on all. And that's some scary stuff. And, you know, the couple of attacks by Ukraine this week, they had a big drone attack on the Russian bombers, right? And they released the drone footage of that yesterday. And then there was this underwater demolition attack on this Russian bridge in the Crimea. Very sophisticated stuff. And I thought that to me, it looked like U.S. deep state operatives working off book without Trump's authorization or even knowledge, trying to escalate the war. And just this week, we had Lindsey Graham, right? We had Lindsey Graham and we had Pompeo in Ukraine. And you think that's just a coincidence? Now, Stitchfield, who's awesome, he's on Real America's Voice now. Remember, he's on Newsmax for a while. He had Larry Johnson on, and Larry Johnson, you may have seen him around. He's an ex-CIA guy, and he's got very good analysis on things. And here is former CIA guy Larry Johnson talking to Stitchfield on Real America's Voice yesterday.
And let me say something about Senator Graham. There will be news coming out in the next couple of months about how he has profited financially off of money that came out of Ukraine, laundered through Latvia, and made its way into his bank account. And then we're talking significant amounts of money. Department of Justice is looking at it.
All right, those are serious allegations.
Yeah, they are. They're pretty serious indeed. Wow, you know, and that would be a good thing for it to come out. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Wow, you know, we all know Lindsey Graham's a bad guy, and if that comes out, you know, there's all this talk of primarying him out. He'll be in a lot of trouble. He'll be done, because he'll be doing what we've been pointing out that Biden's been doing. And Republicans don't get free rides like Democrats do when they're involved in government corruption. This week, remember, Lindsey Graham went to Ukraine and spent $400,000 on a hotel room. Give me a freaking break. Okay, that was some payoff, whether it was to him or somebody else. That $400,000 hotel room, which was paid for by the taxpayers of the United States, that was stealing. That was like the USAID scam going on with that hotel room. It really, truly was. I'm sitting here in the studio with one of my pillows. Well, actually, this my pillow is my wife's my pillow. Okay, this is the one my wife slept on last night, and we were taking the sheets and everything off the bed to do laundry, and we washed the my pillows because, you know, the my pillows are completely washable and dryable. And this one actually is my wife's favorite of the my pillows. This is the premium my pillow, which is covered with Giza cotton, that 100% Giza cotton, which is it's an upscale my pillow, and it has the piping around the side. And the width of the piping actually tells you how much fill there is inside. And this one is firm. And the patented fill that Mike Lindell invented is absolutely amazing. And what that patented fill does is it stops your head and neck from turning at night. Once you're in position and you go to sleep, you stay in that position. You know, with other pillows, you toss and turn at night. Every time you do that, even when you don't remember it, you wake up out of REM sleep. And with the My Pillow's patented fill, your head and neck fit in that pillow perfectly, and you're not tossing and turning. That's why I get 4 or 5 hours sleep a night, usually 4, but if I'm lucky, 5, and I'm so well rested and ready to go every morning for a very long day because those 4 or 5 hours of sleep I get are well-rested sleep. And if you get the sleep you should get, the 7 or 8 hours, oh man, you're going to be lighting the world up on fire. And if you think you've gotten a good night's sleep, you've not had a true good night's sleep until you've slept with a MyPillow. Now, the MyPillow, the premium pillow with the Giza cotton that I'm holding in my arms right now, the queen size is just $19.98 with our promo code Kane at checkout, and the regular price on that is $69.98. So it's a huge discount. You can also get it in the king size, which is $24.98. That's usually $79.98. So great deals with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. Don't forget to use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. And, of course, you can use our promo code Kane, Kane, at checkout on all the specials at MyPillow.com. But I love these MyPillows. I have all the MyPillow products you hear me talk about. The premium MyPillow that's made with the Giza cotton on the outside. This will change your life. Order yours today. Promo code Kane, Kane, at MyPillow.com. Now, the Democrats have been pushing this ridiculous thing about the ICE agents wearing masks, and it's spreading to every Democrat that is in front of a television camera this week. And the ICE agents are wearing masks because they're to protect not just themselves but their families. Some of them have had their children doxxed. These are very violent, dangerous people they're arresting, and if you ever watch any of the arrests in South America, all the regular police wear masks down there for the same thing. This is Mayor Wu, the racist Asian American mayor of Boston, and she is talking in this clip I'm going to play about the ICE agents wearing masks. Listen.
I don't know of any police department that routinely wears masks. We know that there are other groups that routinely wear masks. NSC 131 routinely wears masks.
Mayor, just to clarify, are you comparing ICE, you said, to NSC 131, the neo-Nazi group? Are you comparing them to a neo-Nazi group?
What I said is that Boston Police and no police department that I know of at the local level routinely wears masks. I don't know.
Wow. This is not a police department we're talking about. ICE, they're federal agents that are dealing with international terrorist organizations, Trinde and the MS-13ers, okay? They're arresting very violent terrorists, okay, who are fearless in everything that they do when they're doing crime. It's not the same thing. She is a real beaut, isn't she? She's a real beaut. And there was a story about her campaign receiving there was some connection with her and the CCP that came out recently. I'm going to look into that. I covered that story, but it's been a few weeks. I'll refresh, before I say what's on my mind, let me refresh my thoughts on it. But she's a bad person. She's the one that had that Christmas party for public officials and whites weren't allowed. Remember that? She's a hardcore, sicko, radical, racist Mayor Wu. But you heard, they're really pushing hard on this mask thing. It's another example. The Democrats are always out there to protect others. And what I mean by others, they're always looking to protect people from other countries. They're advocating for foreigners. They never advocate to help Americans, ever. When's the last time you've seen a Democrat come out and advocate to help an American? Not a South American, a United States of American. It's been a long time, hasn't it? My name's Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I'll talk to you next time.